honestly can't remember the last time I did one of these videos for you, even though I know you really enjoy watching them, and I actually enjoy the process of making them, although I have to admit they are kind of a pain to edit, but if you like them, it is worth the hassle. So today we're going to be doing another Hermes bag ranking video, but instead of just ranking any old Hermes bag, we're going to be looking at every popular Hermes bag and their most recent iterations of them. So we're going to be looking at some very iconic popular bags and what Hermes is doing with them for this current season. Now, not all of these bags are new for this season. Some of them were supposed to launch a couple of years ago, but they are only just now hitting stores. So if you like the look of any one of these pieces, just know that you should be able to get them now, either directly from the store or on the Preloved market, because they are around now. So without further ado, if you'd like to chat about some new Hermes bags, including the brand new Neo Mini Evelyne, some really special collector's pieces, bags that were truly meant for the Hermes VIP, and bags in very special leathers, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. And let me start screen record just so you can see everything that I see. But if you've seen my previous ranking videos, nothing has changed. I always use the same tier maker app. So I'm going to walk you through some of the tiers really quick. So on top, we have jewel-worthy bags. These are some of the most inspired, most innovative bags in my opinion. Underneath that, we have collector staples. I think these are the bags that collectors will go crazy for, but I really don't think that they are the most unique things out there. Then we have acquired taste. These are bags that I think some people will really enjoy. These are the bags that can be styled really nicely, but personally, I don't think they are anything to go crazy over. And then the last tier is Pass, which, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. These are the bags that I would personally not spend my hard-earned money on, and I would not suggest for you to do that either. I mean, to be really honest, I don't think any one of these bags are personally my cup of tea at this point, but there are some that I appreciate the look of more than others. And as I said, not every single bag is going to be brand new. Some of these bags we have talked about and you're going to be extremely familiar with, like the first one, which is the Mini Gypsy. I think the Mini Gypsy has been around for a couple of years. It's based on a design that was first launched under Jean-Paul Gaultier's creative direction, which was a larger Gypsy. I think at the time it came in 2 different sizes. Currently, the Gypsy bag is available in size 28. And the Mini Gypsy, which is the one that we're looking at here, the reason I included it is because it is the newest take on the Gypsy bag and it is available now. So if you're looking for a really easy grab and go user-friendly bag, this is something that you can certainly look into. I also considered including the Kelly Move bag here, but we have just talked about that bag. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on the Kelly Move, which I do think is kind of comparable, except it is slightly more feminine and it's a little bit more delicate. But if you would like to hear about that bag, I will make sure to have my review linked up here for you. I personally prefer the shape of the Gypsy. The original Gypsy was actually inspired by hunting satchels and they were equipped with the fastening of the HAC bag. If you're wondering about the price, this is quite an expensive bag because there is a lot going on. I mean, let's be honest, anything that features a Kelly twist closure is going to be expensive, but this particular bag has a really unique shape. You have the flap, you have the fastening. I mean, there are several little details that go into this particular bag, even though it looks quite simple from the far. But if I'm not mistaken, it is available in a few different leathers, but more often than not, you'll find it in Swift, and I think it will set you back just around $8,000 in Swift. And what I will try to do in this video is I will try to mention the retail price of every single bag that I know the price of. So this bag is around $8,000, which is definitely up there in price. But I do think that if you are an avid Hermes collector, if you're a fan of the brand, it's a bag that you would actually be able to take advantage of. And I actually think that it is almost universally flattering. I mean, there are very few people that I can think of who would not be able to take advantage of this bag. But this really simple camera bag-like shape, I think would make a really, really incredible everyday casual grab and go bag. And while the same could be said about our next bag here, the biggest difference between the G.P.S and the upcoming Neo Mini Evelyne is that the G.P.S I do feel would add quite a bit of value to your collection and also to an outfit. It adds some interest, it adds some spice, whereas the Mini Evelyne tends to be a little bit more dull. It just blends in with anything and everything, which I do think is why so many people like the Mini Evelyne, because it's a no-brainer. But at the same time, it will really not add anything to your collection. It's just not a life-changing bag, but I know a lot of people like it. I do have an in-depth review on the Mini Evelyne with mud shots, with my experience owning that bag, which is very different from most people's experiences because people tend to love this bag, whereas I personally don't find it the most flattering on me personally, and that is perhaps because of the size. So the Evelyne does come in several different sizes, the Mini Evelyne being the most popular, which is 16 centimeters wide, and then the next size up I think is 29, which is actually quite a big jump. I always say this whenever I talk about the Evelyne, that I do wish there was a size in between, and it's not something that I came up with. It's something that one of my original viewers, Athena, pointed out very early on when I first talked about the Evelyne, and I could not agree with her more. I do wish there was a size in between, because a jump between a 16 and a 29 is very drastic. I wish there was maybe an Evelyne 22. There isn't, but there is a Neo Mini Evelyne, and there is going to be a Neo Evelyne. Now, what they're changing about the Mini Evelyne is that this particular bag comes with a shorter but leather strap, which isn't adjustable. So a big complaint that people have when it comes to the Mini Evelyne is that the strap isn't adjustable. It's not something that they have changed, but they made the strap on this bag out of leather. It is lined. Unlike most Evelyne bags, this particular bag comes fully lined. It doesn't have that snap closure that you will find on the original Mini Evelyne. On this version, they actually got rid of that top tab. If you remember, you had this little leather tab that you had to use to snap the Evelyne together. On this version, you just have two snap closures on the inside that is fully integrated into the bag, and on the outside they are just wrapped in leather. And then the biggest difference is that this particular bag is only available in officier canvas, so it's not available in leather. Instead, it's available in officier canvas, which is an extremely hard wearing canvas. It's something that you'll be familiar with if you know the Her bag. And then on the outside, the edge isn't just perforated, but it is finished with this sort of embroidered finish, which I personally do not like the look of. I do appreciate all these little refinements that have been done to this bag, but this particular design still leaves me wanting more, especially for the price, because there is a huge price jump between the original Mini Evelyne and the Neo Mini Evelyne. I think the Mini Evelyne in Clemence, which is what you'll find it in most often, I think that bag is around $2,200, whereas the Neo Mini Evelyne is $3,100, which I think is probably because it's lined and it comes with a leather strap. So they kind of switched things up. On the original Mini Evelyne, the body of the bag was made of leather and the strap was made of canvas. And this is kind of the exact opposite. Here, the body of the bag is made of canvas, but the strap is made of leather. So it just really depends on what you prefer. And do keep in mind that the strap on this is a lot shorter. So I don't think most people would be able to carry this bag crossbody. But I thought I would mention it here in case you love the Mini Evelyne, but you're looking for something that is perhaps just a little bit more refined. So I would say that it is an acquired taste. I don't think it's a staple. If you already love and own the Mini Evelyne, I don't think it's a bag that you need, but I think there are going to be people out there who will really enjoy this design. And do keep in mind that the 29 should also come in the same Neo finish at some point. Moving on to the Frankenstein of Birkin bags, the so-called Birkin disorder in size 30 in cellier structure, which was supposed to launch, I think it was part of a collection that was supposed to come out for fall winter 2022, but these bags are still available directly from the store. Now this bag, as I mentioned, was part of an entire range, which included 3 bags: the Birkin 30 cellier, which is the one that we'll be looking at today, the Kelly disorder, and also the bolide disorder, which I really have not seen too many people talking about, but technically there were 3 bags that were part of this fever dreamish collection. All of these were inspired by a bag that was around very, very briefly many years ago called the Sac Himalaya, which should not be confused with the Himalaya Finish, which are obviously bags that come in crocodile in the Himalaya colorway, which we have already talked about many times. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on the Himalaya color finish, I will make sure to have my video linked up here for you on some of the rarest Hermes bags. But there was a bag that was called the Sac Himalaya, and that's not because it was in the color Himalaya, but because it had a very similar all over the place disordered inspiration to it, like this bag. It's almost like a melting dolly painting. Anyway, this particular bag was only available, or only is available, in size 30. It's in a mix of Swift and Togo. So as you can see, the flap is made of Swift, and so are the handles, and the flap sits at this weird angle. You also have 2 pockets, so you have a front pocket on the outside, and what you can now see here is that these bags also feature a zip pocket on the back. The Kelly Disorder actually had 2 openings and 2 twist closures on each side, which personally I think would make them quite a pain to use, because you would not really be able to carry those bags over your shoulder, because you'd always have something digging into your side. Whereas this bag at least only has 1 twist closure on one of the sides, and then on the back you just have a flat zip pocket. But this is definitely for the Hermes collector. It's not meant for everyday use. In my opinion, it looks extremely messy and disorganized, as the name suggests, which obviously is the intention behind this bag, for it to have this kind of all over the place dizzy feel to it. And looking at this bag certainly makes me dizzy. If I'm not mistaken, this bag is around $16,000 directly from the store, so it's definitely more expensive, slightly more expensive than a regular Birkin would be. And I really don't think that it is for, I mean, I would say acquired taste, but for me personally, this is just a pass. This bag was available, or is available, in very, very limited quantities, and there is a reason for that. I do think that the Kelly Disorder was a lot more popular, just because I think it was more obvious what that particular bag was inspired by. It looked a little bit cleaner and a little bit more sleek, whereas when it comes to this particular bag, there is just way too much going on. There are one too many details, and I really think that it is the fact that the flap sits at an angle, which makes this bag just kind of unfinished, or kind of like a DIY project gone very, very wrong. And trust me, I get it. Some people will look at this bag and say that, you know, it's just quirky, you have no sense of humor, which is kind of true, but I do think you can do quirky without the end result giving you vertigo, like the Birkin Disorder. And the perfect example of that is the mini bolide on wheels, which is personally not my cup of tea, but I do really appreciate design, and I think it is done incredibly well. So this particular bag is inspired by the mini bolide, which the bolide bag was first designed in 1923. There are 2 main groups of the bolide bags. You have the bolide 1923, which are kind of the Cellier versions of the bolide bag. They are slightly more structured. And then you have a softer take on the bolide bag, which I don't think those bags are currently in production, or at least it's been quite a while since I saw one of those bags in store. But you do have a much softer, more supple take on the bolide line. But believe it or not, the bolide bag was actually the very first bag to ever feature a zip closure, and they were designed initially as a travel bag. And the reason they have this rounded shape is so they would fit into the trunk of cars that were around in the 1920s. I do think it is an extremely understated, elegant, really refined and timeless style. And I am a huge fan of the mini bolide. If you love a small bag, you should not underestimate what a mini bolide is able to do for you. These bags are just exquisitely crafted. They come in a ton of different colors, leathers, including exotic skins. And I really think that these bags deserve a lot more love and attention. Well, they certainly turned heads when they launched the bolide on wheels, which I really don't understand where Hermes' obsession with skateboards come from. I know a lot about Hermes. I have seen a lot from this brand, but I still cannot put my finger on why they're so obsessed with skateboard culture. I think the very first skateboard that I saw from Hermes was 7 or 8 years ago, and since then they have continued coming out with skateboard inspired pieces, including this one, both for men and women, by the way. Now, this is a bag that's not available in exotic skin. It's only available in Epsom in a ton of different colors. It does come in some neutrals, but you'll find it more often than not in some more vibrant shade, which makes sense. I mean, this bag was meant to be a head turner, and it is a classic mini bolide, except it comes with a hard base and actual functioning wheels. And I actually think that's similar to, if I remember correctly, similar to the Birkin disorder. This bag is also just around $16,000, so it's definitely up there in price, and it's not meant for the faint of heart. This bag was part of the same collection as the mini bolide on wheels bag charm, but I personally prefer the bag design. I do think that this is a head-turning beautiful bag. It's not something that I would personally ever spend my money on. It's not a bag that I could ever pull off, but if this is something that suits your style, I don't think it's a bag that you would have a hard time getting your hands on, not because it's not extremely rare, but I don't think there are too many people out there who would be willing to spend so much money on such a peculiar bag. But I am a big fan, and if you have a more quirky, funky style, I think this is a much more special bag to go for than the Kelly disorder. Obviously, I could not do a video of ranking some of Hermes' most popular bags without talking about the Mini Kelly, which is by far Hermes' most overhyped bag. And I have to be honest, I spent a good 10 minutes trying to figure out which take on the Mini Kelly I should include here, because there have been a couple of new takes on the Mini Kelly, but they really haven't done anything revolutionary other than this and then the Kelly Cloute. But we're going to be talking about the Cloute collection in just a few minutes, so I thought let's talk about the Mini Kelly in the teddy finish, which I think the first time I saw this bag was last holiday season, so I think it was just around Christmas, which makes sense because it is definitely a really wintry bag. But I think this was actually supposed to launch the year before. It's inspired by a bag that, similar to the G.P.S, was designed under Jean-Paul Gaultier's direction, I think in 2005. 2005 is the year that the original Kelly Teddy line launched. It included some larger Kelly bags, so Kelly bags in size 35 that were made of doubly, or also known as suede, and it featured a shearling trim. I think they also had in that collection a Kelly pochette, and also this sort of, it was kind of a glove, but it featured the Kelly twist closure that people could put their hands through. It was part of the runway collection, but it was available in very, very limited numbers, so you might be able to find one of those out there at auctions. But a couple of seasons ago, they resurrected the Kelly Teddy range, and they not only redesigned it in a mini size, but they also brought back the original Kelly Teddy in size 35. But here we're going to be looking at the Mini Kelly in the teddy finish, which comes, I think, in two different colors. 2 or 3. There's definitely a cool toned gris take on the Kelly Teddy, and then you have a warmer, more camely colorway. It comes with a single removable shoulder strap, and it is a mix of, I think, Swift, Doubly, and shearling, obviously, as the name suggests. And it is a really cute, really special bag. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, because I think this bag was around $20,000 directly from the store. Now, if you wanted to pick this up at an auction, it would probably cost you 2, if not 3 times the original retail price, but it makes sense. It was a highly limited bag, and it also came in a blue box. If you have no idea what blue box bags are, I will make sure to have my unboxing of a blue box bag linked up here so you can learn all about the world of Hermes's VIP bags that are reserved for the true Hermes collector, because I am certainly not an Hermes VIP. But it is definitely a very special collector's piece, and I do really like the look of it. So, I'm trying to think, if I saw this bag walking down the street, I would definitely want to have a closer look at it because it's certainly a really special design, and I am a sucker for anything and everything made of suede, and this bag is no exception. I do really like the look of it. Is it something that's on my wish list? Definitely not. And neither is this next bag, which you have heard my thoughts on. Funny enough, I have not seen this bag pop up anywhere online or even in store, but it is the newest take on the Birkin Faubourg, which is a collection that we have talked about many times before. Initially, there were, how many Birkin Faubourgs are there? I think there are 4. So initially, they launched Birkin Faubourg during the day. At night, was it? And then you had the Birkin Faubourg So Black and the Birkin Faubourg Neige, which was the white version. And then the 5th addition to this collection was the Birkin Faubourg En Fete, which is supposed to launch for 2024 because 2024 is all about celebrating the Faubourg boutique. And this bag is inspired by a party night spent at the Faubourg mothership, which is the original Hermes store, which to this day houses the saddle making department of Hermes, or one of the saddle making departments. And this bag obviously pays tribute to the Faubourg boutique and a wonderful boozy night being spent there. I personally think that the person who designed this must have been drunk too. Perhaps they were going home from a boozy night, because I can't believe that this bag is part of the Birkin Faubourg collection. The Birkin Faubourg range is one of the most inspired, most beautifully crafted range of bags. They are genuinely like a tiny little sculpture. They are closer to a piece of art than an actual functioning bag, even though you can use them. They are so exquisitely crafted that they could sit in a museum, whereas this bag does not look like it, and it's not supposed to. So it does, I think the main selling point is that it does feature a disco ball shaped lock, which kind of reminds me of an ornament that you'd find at a dollar store. And then on the front, instead of it featuring an actual 3-dimensional storefront, it just has this hand painted pattern of the store, which I asked, and it is supposed to have this sort of watercolor look to it, which I don't like. To me, it is just very meh, especially considering that this is supposed to be the cherry on top. I mean, if you're going to launch a bag that is supposed to crown the Faubourg boutique, which is supposed to be the crown jewel in the Faubourg collection, I can't believe that this is the best they could come up with. I believe it's available in, or it's going to be available in Evercalf, and I would guess that this bag is going to be around $16,000 to $18,000. Don't quote me on that. That is just my educated guess. If you're an Hermes collector and you do love a small Birkin, because this is going to be in size 20, so in the smallest size that the Birkin bags are currently available in cellier structure, you know, this should be around at one point. I think it should be launching later this year, but personally, it is not a bag that I would ever suggest for you to spend your money on, not even if you are a diehard Hermes collector. This next bag, on the other hand, I am a huge fan of. It is the so-called Arcon bag, which initially launched a couple of years ago, and then for this current season, it is being introduced in a petite size, which I feel like if you are looking for a true workhorse bag, but a bag that will add a beautiful facet to your collection, this would be a great range for you to look into. Of course, it pays tribute to the brand's equestrian heritage, and the shape is actually inspired by a belt that was designed under Margiela's creative direction. I think it's from a really iconic runway show, which I think took place in 2000. So I think that's the collection that this particular shape was inspired by, and I'll try to put up some pictures here of that particular runway show. I think you will see the inspiration, especially when it comes to that little hook on the outside, which is supposed to help you keep track of your gloves, keys, or even a charm, although I would be really careful with attaching anything sharp to the exterior of your bag. And actually, this is the shape that inspired the belt of Hermes makeup artists. So if you go to an Hermes boutique that sells their makeup and you see the belt that the makeup artists wear, it does have a similar shape to it. So You know, Hermes has such a beautiful and rich history that you can dissect almost every single one of their designs and you will find something really interesting to discuss, which is something that I really appreciate about this brand. There are very few things. They really don't do anything by chance. There is a reason for every single design decision. Well, some design decisions are not great, but there is still a reason for them, which I do really appreciate. Anyway, this bag has a pocket on the outside. You do have that hook, and then you also have the adjustable thick Etrevier buckle. Etrevier buckles are inspired by harnesses, and they make these bags adjustable. It's a buckle style that you will really often find in their men's collection, but it is what they used on this particular bag. And then, as I mentioned, you also have the petite archon, which is slightly smaller and more elongated. It's kind of an east-west take on this particular shape. So whether you're looking for a large and in charge tote, something that is kind of a bottomless pit, a piece that can carry all your essentials, or something slightly more petite and smaller, Hermes has got you covered, and this is a bag that has my seal of approval. I do think that it is one of the most beautiful yet most understated designs I have seen from Hermes in a really, really long time. And as promised, let's move on to the so-called Cloute collection, which, as I mentioned earlier, includes two different bags, the Mini Kelly and the Mini Constance, so the Constance 18. Both of these bags are available exclusively in black box leather with this incredible studded detail. Now, as I mentioned earlier, every single design decision has a reasoning and a meaning behind it. So if you count the bottom row of studs, there should be 24 studs on the Mini Constance and also on the Mini Kelly, which of course pay tribute to the address of the Hermes mothership, Faubourg 24. And believe it or not, they are not inspired by the same collection as the Rock range was, even though they do have a similar really edgy, bold, and rock and roll feel to them. These bags are actually inspired by, I believe, ceremonial harnesses and ceremonial saddles. So they use the same technique that was used on those saddles to set these almost jewelry-like studs, which are really, really exquisite. I definitely think that it is a collector's dream come true, so I would say that it is a collector staple. The Mini Constance also comes with a removable handheld mirror, which I don't think is going to be groundbreaking, but it's just something interesting to note. It is the same detail that you'll find on the re-edition Constance 24 and also some of the newer Constance bags. It is just a nice little addition, but I don't think this is the reason why you should buy this bag. It's certainly a head-turning piece, but it is not for the faint of heart. As I mentioned, it comes exclusively in box leather, and while I'm not sure how much this particular bag is directly from the store, I would guess that the price of a regular box Mini Constance is probably $12,000. So just doing the math in my head, I would guess that this bag would be around $18,000. If you know the exact price, please let us know in the comment section down below. But my guess would be that this bag is around $18,000. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, but if you are an Hermes fan, an Hermes collector, there are very few bags that will add as much spice to your collection as this bag would. It's certainly a head-turning piece that was meant for those who are not afraid of the spotlight. Even though this next bag isn't brand new for the season, I do believe that the Kelly Dance is making a comeback once again. So if you like a multi-purpose Hermes bag, something that you can play around with, I think you'll be happy to hear that the Kelly Dance is getting another push, and so are lizard bags. Hermes has been really, really pushing lizard skin, even though it's a skin that was around a really long time ago. Hermes at one point had to discontinue lizard bags because they had some real quality issues, and Hermes believes that true luxury is that can be repaired, and I am quoting here. So if they issue something that they cannot repair, if anything happens to it, it's not something that the brand is willing to continue producing, which is the exact same thing that happened to the Soul Black range. So there was a long period when you could not buy lizard pieces from Hermes, but they are back again, and so is the Calydons, so that's why I wanted to include it here. Personally, the Calydons is not my cup of tea. The idea behind this bag is that it is just a really standard bag shape that comes with a longer removable strap that you can twist and turn to make this bag into several different things. So you can either carry this bag handheld as a clutch without the strap, or you can attach the strap and make it into a backpack, a crossbody bag, a belt bag, or obviously a shoulder bag. But to me, this is one of those bags that is just kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. It is trying to be so many things that it just spreads itself too thin and it cannot do one thing well. So personally, it's not my cup of tea, but in Lizard, it is certainly a really special bag. But now I'm torn. Should I put this under acquired taste or pass? Because if this bag was in any other finish, it would certainly be a pass, but because it's in Lizard, I do really like the look of it, especially because this particular bag is in ombre lizard, which I think makes this bag $19,000-$20,000, so it's not for the faint of heart. Personally, I'm going to say that it's pass, but the fact that it's in ombre lizard almost pushed me to put it under acquired taste. And last but not least, here we have a bag that I know you will need no introduction to, but this particular size you might have not seen before, especially if you don't watch my videos regularly, which if you don't, I don't know why that is, when I'm here every week, twice a week, to provide you with all the Hermes insights that you could possibly need or want. So if you have not, make sure that you subscribe down below so you get notified anytime I upload. But we are getting a new take on the iconic Picotin bag, which is the one that we're looking at here. The Picotin traditionally is available in how many sizes? 18, 22, 26, and 33, I think, is the biggest size, which has not been in production for a really long time, but it was around in quite a few different sizes, 18 and 22 being the most popular. But last year, they also introduced the Micro Picotin, which initially was only available in the so-called Lucky Daisy print, which I really, really did not like. But shortly after, they launched the Mini Picotin in ostrich in several different shades, which I think is just exquisite. If you are a lover of mini bags, this is something that I would highly encourage you to look into. My boutique actually had one of these on display in the color Nata, and it was one of the sweetest things that I have ever seen. And I do actually really like ostrich leather. If you would like to learn more about ostrich leather, I will make sure to have my bag unboxing linked up here of my first ever full-on ostrich bag. So if you would like to learn more about ostrich leather and why it is known as one of the most hard-wearing exotic skins, I would highly encourage you to check out that video of mine. But going back to the Micro Picotin in ostrich, it is just a sweet, sweet bag that if you love a smaller bag, you certainly want to look into. I don't know, I'm going back and forth between jewel-worthy and collector staple. You know, I'm in a good mood, so I'm going to put it in jewel-worthy, but I would say that it's somewhere between jewel-worthy and collector staple. But long story short, it is a really, really special take on the Picotin. And I can't believe I almost forgot to mention the price, because even though it is a very special bag, adding that special piece to your collection is going to cost you, because the original Micro Picotin, I think, was $3,400, whereas the Micro Picotin in ostrich will set you back $8,400. So you are paying quite a bit for an exotic micro bag, but at the end of the day, it is made of ostrich. But if you don't mind spending the money, it is certainly something that I think you would really enjoy having in your collection. But this actually brings us to the end of today's video, ranking every popular Hermes bag and their most recent iterations. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And before you leave, let us know your thoughts and your review in the comment section with us. If you have any insights, if you own any one of these bags, if you have any one of these bags on your wish list, I cannot wait to hear from you. And please let me know your thoughts on my ranking. Would you rank these bags the same way? Would you have a different ranking? I am very curious to hear what you have to say. And I cannot tell you how much you being here and watching means to me. I really appreciate you, and I will see you back here with a new video really, really soon.